Hello, and welcome to Season 3 of Super Pros Bros. I'm Player 2, Eli, and with me, as always, is...
Player 1, Ike. And, bro mama, did you know that this pod is on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify?
I did not, Brusicle. Are those the same places the good people could
Like,
comment
share,
and subscribe?
I think it is.
How about that?
Neat. So, shall I go on at crazy length about what the good people need to know about what's happening in my awesome life, or do you want to lead off, McDuck?
I'll let you take the stage.
All right. So, there's a couple things that I left out last week. And when I say a couple things, I mean my adventure from my abode to the train station before arriving in Seattle. So, let me set the stage for you. I attempted to go to bed at 8 p.m. on Saturday so that I could wake up at 4 a.m. on Sunday, catch the train, to catch the bus, to catch the flight. I'm in bed, high as a kite, 7:30. Your boy is feeling good. Like, he done his checklist, everything's packed and ready. I'm getting those nice pins and needles that I get from Indica, and I'm just like, oh yeah. And then my roommate who had gone out to go get a drink with his lady friend, good for him, left his dog here. His dog is deaf and doesn't seem to know or care how his bark sounds. So when I got into bed, he proceeded to bark for the next 2 to 3 hours before I finally slipped off to bed. Don't know if he was still barking, don't care. However, kept me up an hour or two longer than I wanted to be. Fuck, not off to a great start. Then I get woken up at 1:30 in the morning when my roommates come back drunk to go walk their dogs, who have long ass fucking nails, and we have wood floors. Oh, it sounds like an animal chasing you down. It's just like a fucking typewriter on meth. It's just going full tilt. It's like, god damn it. And so then I'm up, and for the life of me, I lay in bed for an hour and I can't go back to bed. So get up, take care of some business, double check my packing a zillion times, head with plenty of time to the train station. Walking to the train station at 4 in the morning, even in LA, is an experience, because LA kind of dies out at 4 in the morning like most cities. And so I'm walking around alone and I'm like, man, this is the time that somebody jumps me and takes my shit. So, I don't even have my headphones in. I'm not, running, but I'm walking quickly. I'm like being very secure, looking around. I walk past a parking lot where there are 8 guys in the back of one small, like, Jeep truck thing, and like drinking 40s or whatever, enjoying their last life. I'm like, just don't notice me, just don't notice me, just don't notice me. And of course, because my life is not a movie, thankfully, they didn't. They were too much enjoying their awesome Sunday morning, drinking 40s in an empty parking lot. And, awesome. Love that for them.
God bless.
God bless. They were living their best life, hurting no one, and I was over here judging like a dipshit. You know what? Good on you, gentlemen. Enjoy your life. Get to the train station, and I need to buy a ticket. Need to reload like my tap card. And at the time, the only places to do that I knew of were to the left of the entrance. So I go over to the left of the entrance, and there's 2 of them like ATMs. Mm-hmm. And as I walk towards them, just past the second one is a gentleman on the ground, semi-clothed, with 3 empty aerosol cans surrounding him.
Good old whippets.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll let you imagine what he's doing with them. But I walk up, and before I even get there, I'm like, oh man, this is not how I want to start my day. There's this man who I'm presuming is named Tyrone, because he keeps referring to himself in the third person and giving himself a beatdown of a pep talk. As I walk up, all I hear is, "You can't let him treat you like this, Tyrone. You didn't go to Catholic school for the heart." It's like that. at that volume the whole time. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And so I'm like trying to, without shaking too much like a geriatric, reload my card. And the card is no good and it won't take my credit card. And so I look at the other machine that is a lot closer to him and I'm like, ah! And I shimmy like it's a 1930s cartoon, just ever so precariously towards my fearful death to reload my train card, which also doesn't take my fucking credit card. So I had to give it $5 for a $2 fare and pray that Mr. Lincoln would find a home quickly in that receptacle. No retakes, please.
And I'm just go to the theater. Come on.
I'm just like looking to the right as I'm inserting my money to the left because I can't do anything remotely close to eye contact for fear of what happens next. I get my ticket and just like I didn't run, but like floated fastly might be the way I would describe my next movement down the escalator. Is I definitely there was not much feet touching the ground as I whisked myself away. From there, go down to the train station, and I'm waiting for the train to arrive because I got there kind of early. To my right is a man wearing LA like sanitation something or other department gear on. So he's there for work. I presume he works in the train stations, or maybe the train station is taking to him a different place. But as we will soon learn, he worked in the train stations. See him there. He's just vibing. Like I think he's got a headphone in, but he's like aware of his surroundings because I see his like head do these micro movements of like noticement of other people, but he's not like giving them the full time of day, which is weird because to the left of me there are three guys, one of which is talking very loudly about burgers to his friend, and he's doing it with his hand. And what I mean by that is every time he's talking to his buddy and he says a hard syllable, he's like, yeah, the burgers are awesome, you gotta get the mayo. Every time that kind of sound comes out, he's going to his friend's forehead, who is not moving out of the way or seems particularly annoyed by it, which is flabbergasting because he's hitting it harder than if he needed a fucking V8. This guy's trying to give him a hematoma, just like, yeah, you gotta like the burgers. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm trying not to look or make any commotion because I don't want him to talk to me ever. So I'm just like, whoa, that's a lot. I just look over and the guy from the sanitation department is kind of like, he clearly sees it, but it's not that amazing to him, which I'm just like, all right, now I have to ask. Is like, hey man, do you like work down here? He's like, yeah, this is like where I start my day. I was like, is this? And I kind of like lightly gesture with my neck, pretty normal. He goes, looks over my shoulder, he goes, honestly, little slow. I'm like, oh my god, 4 a.m. and this is slow. Holy shit. I was like, all right, man, I gotta ask, what's the craziest thing you've seen down here? He goes, I saw a guy almost get run over by a train for trying to pick up a nickel off the track. I was like, damn. He goes, oh, he's like, yeah, so unlucky. I was like, so unlucky. He goes, yeah, it could have been like my niece. I was like, what? He goes, my niece, first day on the job, sees a man get cut in half by the train. I was like, oh my God. He goes, yeah, she got a year paid leave. So lucky. I'm like, I'm gonna need a moment. Like, I'm sorry, what? So lucky. Like I like he goes, yeah, like year paid leave. I was like, no, I got that. I'm just like sitting there like, what world do we live in that you're like a year's paid to have like forever trauma in my brainstem?
Yeah,
Deal.
I got a year of free time to get over it.
Exactly.
I mean, if I can move past it in 6 months, we're just in the fucking black.
So fucking crazy. Get on the train, catch the bus, catch the flight, ride the lovely light rail, and that got me to our episode last week. After our episode, I got picked up by one of my teammates, and we drove around to get dinner. On it, he's like in the front driving. It's a Tesla. You know, he's using the auto driving function as everybody does. Sure, whatever. And at one point, he just like takes his hands off the wheels completely, reaches in his console, pulls out a pair of like, you know, those third grade scissors that were like really hard. They were small for your hands then.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulls out one of those and then starts trimming his nose hairs in the middle of traffic, apropos of nothing. It's not like he was rubbing his nose, sneezing. He was just driving, and then and then just like time to trim the nose hairs. It's 6:13 today. Like what the fuck?
It's
As you
normal.
do. So I get out of the car and I talk to one of my other teammates who was in the car. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Like, you know, he's trimming his nose hair, and they go, "That's nothing." I was like, "That's nothing." They're like, "No." When he picked me up in Indianapolis, he got us an Uber, and we get in the Uber, and he goes, "Coke?" And we're like, "What?" And he pulls out and sets a line of Coke on the back seat of an Uber. Upon first meeting them, does a line, goes, "Huh?" And they're like, "No, it's 10 a.m." And he goes, "All right," and just puts it away, and then just sits in the Uber, which I shouldn't be surprised at because our first night drafting, he's never done them before, but he pulls out a container of mushrooms, takes an edible, waits an hour, and goes, "Didn't feel it," and then takes 2 more. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be something. And the man seemed rosy at best. Like it wasn't like it ruined his day. It didn't alter his state. He was just kind of there. And I'm like,
Man's got some tolerance.
and then some. Is fucking crazy. But he doesn't. He speaking of tolerance, someone who has the opposite of tolerance is my co-host. And what I mean by that is, don't say the word veer to him when he needs to make a left or right turn at a stop sign.
Yes, we're going to veer 90 degrees.
We were driving back from the Pro Tour party, which my co-host had lovingly come out for, had a drink, drove us back to our Airbnb, which was in Fakakta nowhere off of some bad turns.
Just a bit fucking deep.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not quite Tacoma, but it's real close.
Yeah. But we're driving, and my lovely friend Derek Davis and his publicly elected official wife, who had 2 rum and cokes, was very much about the word veer every time he needed to make a turn.
Yeah, not like, and she insisted the first time we're gonna veer. It's like, that's not a veer. That was like 110-degree turn. Like, it was more than a 90-degree turn. It's like, no, this is a sharp turn. Like, this is not veering. This is not casual fucking just nudge the wheel the right direction. Nah.
So after that, so for those of you that don't know, as my co-host does, didn't have a great weekend off the start. Started off the Pro Tour with the old perfect 0 wins, 5 losses drop from the tournament. Then the next day, PTQ, 0 wins, 2 losses drop from the tournament. Keeping up the perfect record. Let's go. Going for the 09er. And then
stabilized.
Awesomely. I needed that little bro luck. That's what I needed.
A little bit. Little nudge.
I needed the Broskinkowski to come give me that energy. Bless you. Sorry. Heat up my Pop-Tart, if you will. And on Sunday, bro came, hung out for a little bit, gave me that energy. Ended up easily, undefeated, winning my spot and punching my ticket to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Woo! Came back, went on a first date with the person I was talking about in an intro last week. It went pretty good. I'm still on the fence on whether this is going to be something that is not a disaster, but like, one of those breakups that you remember, or like not relationships that you remember, or that ends up being, a relationship of all time. But more on that later. My last little thing, I got to come back to this, if you will. So upon my return, there is a student at my work who is, I think he's 14 turning 15 this year, and he is something else. So he comes in the other day asking about getting food.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, you just go into the office and you say, I'd like some food, like I'd like lunch, and they'll give you lunch. He goes, it's too far. Can you go get it for me? Like, no, it's 50 feet. I got shit to do. You can go get your own food. And like this man is so lazy that at one point I told him to write one follows the other, and he goes, "Can I just write the number one?"
God.
That's that's the tip of the iceberg. So here are some written dialogue bits. Kid, what's your boss's name? Michael, me, Michaela. Kid, weird. Michaela just called me and told me that you should get me lunch. Me, I'll wait till she tells me in person. Kid, well, it's gonna be kind of hard. She's on vacation. Kid, hey, can I get another piece of paper? Me, sure. Kid, and while you're up, can you get me lunch? Kid, wait, it says there's an earthquake in the city of Los Angeles. Where's that? Or no, sorry, I fucked that up. Kid, wait, it says there's an earthquake in the city of Angels. Where's that? Me, you mean Los Angeles? Kid, you speak Spanish? I get up to go to the bathroom. Oh no, this is a different one, sorry. Kid, what's the way you'd go and get me lunch? Me, I can't think of one. Kid, well, get on it.
Up to
And
it, Jesus.
Me, I get up to go to the bathroom. He goes, where are you going? Is there chicken in there?
God, I hope not.
Yeah, not the chicken you want, that's for sure. I have never laughed so much at and with a student at the same time, which is one of the benefits of our interactions, is the fact that he kind of finds it like I'm not sure if he thinks this is a joke or not, but he laughs at it, so we have a great time. So random headache of a benefit, I suppose. Anyway, I've stolen the mic for long enough. What you been up to, bro?
Say not a whole hell of a lot. They say last time we talked to people, I saw you. I say much of the same for me. I'd say in general been feeling I don't know a bit better. Like I had a kind of nice epiphany the other day.
Ooh.
The other week, I realized like oh, I am not grieving.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a strange realization, like oh, like the little background hum isn't there. That's pleasant. So I'm like, I know
Love that.
yeah, I know there's certain things like I'm gonna nudge and touch, and it's gonna fucking, sudden pain, but like I know eventually, like, I got 2 months and change. July 26th, that day's gonna hurt. But probably my birthday's gonna suck too. But like it's nice that just the standard day to day, I don't have that kind of just buzzing in the back of my skull. So that's been very nice. And I've been watching a lot of League lately because MSI has started.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and oh god, I just before recording this, there because so it's hosted this year in China. It's in Chengdu. So I'm effectively watching the VOD afterward because it starts airing at 2 a.m. So I can't catch it live. So this morning, as I was waking up and having breakfast, I watched one of the North American teams play for a spot on the main stage, and oh my god, it was one of the worst games. It was illegal. It was illegal. Oh my good god. Oh man. And it's not like there's a couple of people on the team who've never been to an international tournament, like it's their first year playing. They were not the problem. They didn't do great. They didn't really do all that well, but they weren't actively sprinting it because Jesus, the shit I saw hurt. Like it was downright offensive. Some of the gameplay I bore witness to. So NA has lost its second seed, so hopefully the other NA team can do better. I have to watch Europe play still this morning, and I'm a little nervous, but hopefully Fnatic doesn't fucking int. Please, Fnatic, do not int. Don't don't do it to me.
Do it.
Don't do it. Um, I'm actually sad they almost beat the second seed of China for a guaranteed spot in the main stage. It was actually a really good series, so I have hope for them. Anyway,
so would you say that you are hoping for a best ending for that series as opposed to a worst ending?
I would like to have the best ending. Not the worst transition we've done. What we're talking about today, as we've so clumsily alluded to, is we are talking about endings. And because I mean, there's two things that matter when you meet somebody and when you interact with something. It's the first impression and how you leave it. A lot of stuff in the middle can be forgiven, can be forgotten, as long as you start well and end on a good note. So we thought we would take some time to talk about some endings that we absolutely enjoy and some that we absolutely despise. So this should go without saying, but spoilers, we're talking about how stuff ends. So if you don't want to know, well, skip it. I don't have a better way to say this.
The next episode is for you, maybe.
Yeah, like there's no way to sugarcoat this.
Yeah. If you want to avoid spoilers for, should we just say them all? Or just
nah.
That ruins the reveal.
It does.
All right, so I guess I'll start it off. Do we want to start off bad, go good to bad, or bad to good? I suppose
we go bad to good.
All right, so first up on this fuck you list. Growing up, I loved the show Escaflowne. Watched it on. It was on like Fox for a hot second, and then it went off. And then luckily, a friend down the street had a fucking security tape size VHS with the whole season on it.
Oh my god, amazing!
Which I watched twice. I watched it by myself, and I watched it with mom. Oddly enough,
really,
yeah.
That does not seem...
Mom messes with anime usually pretty well.
That does not seem mom friendly though.
Here's a better one. Mom introduced me to ElfQuest and helped me rent it from the library.
That also does not seem mom friendly.
It's not.
Oh my god. Okay.
But you know, she's a great mom.
Okay.
Best mom.
God bless. She does have a propensity for that art style. Okay.
So Escaflowne, the first episode's a bit, Japanese. It's kind of like an isekai before isekai. I realized telling somebody.
It really was like it's isekai's grandfather. Like
yeah,
it really
mecha
is.
Isekai, the Escaflowne. So the series follows Vaughn and I can't remember the name of the girl.
Hitomi.
Say again, Hitomi.
Hitomi.
Yeah. It follows them as this war is breaking out via technology and yada 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 in this foreign land that she has kind of been isekai to. And in the last episode, they finally realize they love each other. They meet on a bridge. They like embrace, kiss, whatever. And then in the final minutes of the show, instead of living happily ever after, because even when she was on Earth in the beginning of the show, she was kind of like, about it for the most part. And this was kind of a good thing for her to like escape world, honestly, if you look at the character in my estimation. And then she gets fucking, with like 8 minutes left, she gets teleported back to Earth for no conceivable reason. It's just magic portal.
Yeah,
like,
there's no dialogue. There's no nothing. He just
a bunch of people waving goodbye as she slowly ascends back to Earth. And I mean slowly.
He just kind of picks up a dragon heart, and it's the slowest reverse abduction ever.
Yep. It sucks. It makes me so angry. They have an ending there that's perfect. A, an anime that could end perfectly. Have you ever before? And then it's like 3, 2, 1, buzzer beater. Nah, just fucking. Oh, he got it with a second to spare. It's like, God
They
damn
could
it.
have given it like an in-universe explanation for why she had to go back too.
Yeah,
Like it wouldn't have been
yeah.
hard.
There's no explanation for why she goes back on like a world building stage, and there's no explanation from a storytelling stage why she has to go back. It can just end with them literally. If you cut the movie when they kiss on the bridge, it's a better ending than the next 8 minutes. It's such an unforced error. Like literally, they have the end. Like some of these we're gonna talk about. I think we should, for the bad ones, talk about how they could have fixed them. Because a lot of the times they could be fixed. This one is literally just there. It's just they ran too
They
long.
opted into this shit.
Yeah, they just opted into it. It's like if you just cut and roll credits 8 minutes sooner, it is a better show.
Yeah, it is such a more satisfying send off. But it's the other thing too that feels so insulting is it's so earned.
Yeah.
You spend so long doing this will they won't they, and she finally like embraces living in this universe.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be here. I like this place. Later, bitch.
Nah.
See ya.
Let me deprive you of agency and send you back forcibly.
Yeah.
No, it's so bad.
And then they try to make it good. Like she sees like this ethereal reflection of Vaughn in like a window at her like high school graduation or some bullshit. It's like, what is this?
You could have
It's
him,
so
the physical
dumb.
copy. You know,
Yeah.
the guy with fucking wings, and he's got a kingdom now.
Yeah.
Instead, you're settling with a fucking track star. You piece of shit.
She doesn't even get the track
Oh,
star.
she doesn't.
Her friend gets him. It's like, what
I
the
forgot.
fuck? It's nothing. It's so bad.
She doesn't even fucking get the runner up.
Just she doesn't get the runner up. She gets the run around. Like fucking.
Oh my
bullshit.
god, she does.
All right.
Fucking
Before I hate this
cool.
anymore. Next.
Okay, so I bitched about this once before. But man, if there is a movie that starts with a cool premise and just fucking trips and falls down a flight of stairs, the movie Come True fits that description because it starts this interesting idea of basically sleep paralysis as a shared experience, and like
Yep.
there is something inhabiting it. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Like they're basically
listening.
dream demons are real and they're coming for you. It's like, okay, I hate this, but I'm into it.
Yeah.
And it gets weird, and it's like following someone through a sleep study, and it gets uncomfortable because one of the people running the sleep study wants to sleep with her. It's like, well, I guess ethics boards aren't a thing. Let's move beyond that. And she ends up like fucking killing him in a
As you do.
bathroom, as one does. I mean, he's basically stalking her, so it tracks. And it ends with her getting a text, like looking at a mirror, and like her mouth is fucked up, and she's like vampire teeth and shit. And she gets a text message that says, "You've been in a coma. We're trying to reach you. Please wake up."
Mm-hmm.
What? It does the weirdest jumping of the shark in like 4 different directions sequentially. It's just like it. You think it started like because the whole premise of the movie is that she does this sleep study for money because she wants to be with her girlfriend, and or like you basically be able to go to school and be with her girlfriend, and she can't go home because she has family issues. The family issues are never touched, never resolved. Nothing is resolved at all because it's all fabrication. I fucking guess. Like it leads you under all these false pretenses to a text message reveal. You can't even have them come on over a PA. Like a text message. You make me read this. You print a bad.
You son of a bitch! You made me read.
Yeah, like text messages in movies are always kind of shit. But like I get why they're necessary sometimes, which is like it's a modern fixture. Okay, fine, like, roll with it. I give it a pass. But like that's how you're gonna fucking drop this bombshell in your audience. What? Like you could have the dream demon come out and talk to her. That would be way cooler, at least. That'd at least soften the blow for this is all a dream. This is all bullshit. Instead, we're just not going to resolve any plot points. We're not going to do anything with this interesting premise we cooked up. We're not going to do anything with the character we put together, who kind of sucks, but still. We're not going to do anything with consequences of her just killing a dude in a bathroom in a hospital. Nothing. Instead, we're just going to fucking cut the tape because we ran out of script money, I guess. Like, it's so out of left field, so hackneyed, and so trash. It is, I think, the worst written ending I've got. It's so bad. It's just, man, and really, the last twist of that knife is that it's a text message on a phone. It's not even a real phone. It's a fake phone. It's a fake bit of her goddamn imagination.
Imagination phone, no!
Yeah, like, just, kick rocks. It's such a cool premise, too. I got lured in by fucking false advertising.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting lured in by false advertising, How I Met Your Mother has one of the best starts, one of the best show gimmicks of, future dad talking about how he met their mom and talking about their story. It's really sweet.
Sure.
It's oddly voiced by was it what's the guy, that comedian that died? Bob something or other?
Bob Saget?
Bob Saget, yeah. Oddly voiced by Bob Saget, who gets away with being America's dad, even though he's one of the most foul-mouthed comedians that's ever existed, which is hilarious to me. And also, rest in peace.
Okay.
Yeah, he died a couple of years ago from... He had like a stroke or something. It was really tragic. He just died after a show.
Oh, damn.
For like no particular... Like, it wasn't like an OD. His heart was
just surprise medical emergency. Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently... He played a really good dad on not only this show, but on Full House, and then more or less on like America's Funniest Home Videos, while also being one of the most foul-mouthed comedians, but apparently, and beautifully, one of the nicest comedians around, which love that. In this show, you are following, this main character, Ted Mosby, as he tries to date in New York City. Kind of classic, romp dealy. It's got a great host of characters. They're very well set up. You've got probably the best character in the show is Barney Stinson, who is now would get Me Too'd into the ground. But at the time, it was just fucking hilarious watching this guy try to just get laid left, right, and center under dubious means. There was never any like untoward, rapey, allegation-y bits or anything like that. But he was, lying to women to sleep with them and not caring about them. So, scumbag. No, at the time, fucking hilarious. And the nation very much agreed, as it was like one of the highest rated shows and like ran for way too many seasons.
Sure.
And by that, I mean, towards the end, it really started to like, it felt like it was on a loop. Like the last 2 or 3 seasons are somewhat indistinguishable from another. So it's been building up and doing this interesting thing of at the beginning of the season, it shows the end of the season, but it's missing one key bit that you learn along the way, and then they reveal at the end. Really cool. It works really well for the first like 5-6 seasons, and then I think like the latter 3, it really is just like moving at a turtle's pace and showing you nothing important, in my estimation. But in the last season, the reveal, instead of talking about their mom who's been alive, he's talking about their mom and how they met, except it is revealed that she has died. She has died of cancer. And along this 10-11 season show, there's been this other woman that you thought he would get with initially, and then they didn't, and then they did, and then they broke up, and then they were just friends. And then she marries his best friend, and then they get a divorce. And at the end of the show, when he's like, yeah, she died and I loved her and yada yada. Just like, all right, that's definitely a bit of a rug pull, but maybe. And then the kids talk him into dating this old flame of his, and that he said how much he loved her. And so the last minutes is he running over to her apartment at the age of like 50, 60 and being like, we should have been together this whole entire time, and them going into the sunset. It is so anticlimactic and so much of a needless gut punch. It's so much of a debate. I cannot stand it. And then, as everybody other fan did, they cried fucking murder on the internet. They, within like days, put out this alt ending that they had. They're like, I'm not sure about this one. And it was infinitely better. It's the mom's still alive. They go out to eat. They have dinner, and it shows the gang kind of meeting back up. Done. Solved. It's like, you guys had it and you threw it away? Who is your test audience? Fucking Murderer's Row? Like, are you fucking kidding me? This is like, they tried to be upscale. They tried to be kind of like avant-garde, kind of mislead the audience a little bit, and like, oh, let's give them the ending that is true, not the ending that's happy. It's like, this is a sitcom. You don't need to it's a sitcom. People come here to laugh and feel good. Give them the happy ending that you've been teasing for 11 seasons.
Also, like, it's not bad if people can expect it. Just because something is coming does not make it bad.
I don't think they were trying to trick people. I think they were trying to give them something different than what had been given in the past.
Sure.
Like, they weren't pulling a Game of Thrones like, oh, they guessed the ending. They weren't trying to do that. But, like, the idea that you can't have, and that there's something wrong with a happy ending.
Yeah.
And that, like, it should be avoided. It's like, you guys have been walking towards it. You just give the people what they want. Give them cake.
Yeah.
They don't need to have trifle. Like, that. They wanted cake. Give them cake. It's fine. You're a sitcom.
Yeah.
You're not like this highbrow drama. You're not this posh British show.
Yeah.
Just give them cake. There's nothing. Cake is great.
Agree. All right.
Also, what they did to Barney Stinson's fucking storyline is just like, again, it was too realistic, but it was in the governance and the land of a sitcom, so it was lackluster. So he goes from this like playboy to a guy who marries the friend that you've always wanted him to marry, and then instead of stepping up, he steps down. They get divorced after a while. He looks like shit, and like it's not good. It does, like, they could have just ended happy with, he stays together with the girl that he marries, he levels up and decides to be the better man that he should have been this whole time, but he was too much in his own way. Fucking Ted Mosby marries his wife. They all meet up at the bar that they go to way too often, which also, can we stop pretending like people go out to a bar every night? You know how expensive that shit is? It's so unreal. Like, let alone living in these like nice New York apartments with no job, which fuck off. But also, like, the spending habits are stupid. Can we have characters that make food at home, hang out with their friends at home? Like, is that so bad? Why does the bar need to be the congregation place of every show ever? That shit's expensive. Stop
it. Weird extra note, but not undeserved. All right. Before you find something else to nitpick.
Yep. Go.
I'm gonna go a little more fantastical with it. War of the Worlds. Not the OG radio scare that made people freak out and run out into the street.
Or burn their fucking barns down.
Yeah.
That was real. People heard it in the Midwest, and the way it was aired was like fucking genius. And it was very good, but also bad for some people because they came in. If you listen from beginning to end, you would not have gotten lost. It's the thing they didn't realize when they were making the show for fucking radio is, what if somebody tunes in halfway?
And they just think it's a news broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was reported like a news broadcast.
Yeah.
So people freak the fuck out and burn their fields.
Hey, no such thing as bad press, am I right?
Them aliens ain't getting my corn, god damn it.
Anyway, so the more modern, it's still like 15 years old at this point. The movie Steven Spielberg made.
It's Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it starts, everything goes to shit. People can't do it. And it's a great, like, oh, well, we feel small and powerless. Great. Which, if you want to induce dread, that is a very quick way to do it. Here for it. Had some very good scenes with a lot of good tension. But I mean, the big fixture of the aliens are the tripods that meander in,
Hmm.
that are also borderline indestructible. They have like a force field that just nothing gets to hit them. And one of the cool ways that they get a takedown on one of these
Hmm.
is that Tom Cruise lets himself be grabbed and he's got hand grenades. So he gets inside it and detonates it. Like, okay, that feels earned, right?
Yeah.
Like that's okay, sneaky. I like it. Why you had hand grenades and someone at a fucking farm had hand grenades, I'm not sure. But crazy people in the Midwest, it's not the most outlandish thing to assume. Okay. Um, but then later, toward the end of the movie, humans just start winning because disease. Because the fucking cop because alien biology can't hang with human viruses and bacteria. The extra dose of stupidity that I don't like because it feels very unsatisfying. Because it's like if you were that advanced for international or for intergalactic space travel, if you did too, the tripods were planted here. They
Yeah.
they existed ahead of time. There's like the weird sequential lightning strike things to put people in them.
Yeah.
So they had to at some point look at the place. Also, that insinuates that people doing fucking city planning at
It's
no point
never.
dug and went, "What in
Yeah,
God's
there's
name is this
no
shit?"
geologists exist in this universe. They've never looked in the ground a day in their
Yeah,
life.
like nobody walked around with a metal detector, something like there's so many just like, wait, what? But how does it work? So presumably they should know that like bacteria exist. They should know the composition of our atmosphere and shit like this. Like and for some reason birds can go through their little force field. The thing that stopped you literally see it stop a rocket
Yeah.
and fucking ravens just fly at it. Also, why would ravens just fly at it? Like oh,
The smartest bird on earth is like, you know what? I can take him.
yeah, like nah, I'd win. And they get diseased, and then the force field stops working. So disease causes mechanical failures?
Oh
No, it's
boy.
too many plot holes. It's too much nonsense. And then to top it off, for this absolute skid mark of an ending,
Uh-huh.
um, he goes back and his family's totally fine.
Oh yeah, his son that walked over a ridge that exploded with fire
Yeah,
is unscathed.
yeah. Like that guy shouldn't have legs minimum. Like just everyone's fine and happy and like no, we should all be traumatized. Nobody should be smiling. Everybody should be shitting their pants. Like the world is a disaster at best. Like I just it's it's just this dumb confluence of nonsense to make everything work out fine, I guess. What a wet fart of an ending. Moving on.
Speaking of wet farts,
Oh my.
the movie Limitless has a very interesting premise. So the premise is that there's this drug that you can buy that makes you like tap into all your superpowers that you have latent in your system. You know, if you're good at learning, now you're a savant. You know, you're like page turning like a motherfucker. If you can do this, it heightens all abilities, either known or unknown, that you potentially possess. You can't fly, you can't anything like that, but like you become a superhuman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Only problem is you got to keep doing it. If you go off of it, it like the fucking detox is a bitch.
Yeah.
Sometimes even deadly. This drug is very, very sought after and like costs a lot of money.
Okay.
So the circumstance is that the main character played by Bradley Cooper starts off as this like nothing wannabe writer, writes a bestseller, learns how to day trades like crazy hard, makes lots of money,
Mm-hmm.
and then runs into an issue where he starts trading at a firm that's like owned by Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro kind of like susses him out to some degree. And the ending is Robert De Niro's because I think he's like running for office, or I think Bradley decides he wants to run for office and do good things. And Robert De Niro's like, So you're gonna sign this bill I want you to sign because I know how you got here. I know about this drug. I own the company.
Mhm.
I can make sure you never get it anymore.
Sure.
I took a step in front of you. To it. Yeah, it's a great ending problem that he's got to overcome. You could just literally have it cut to him, like have Robert De Niro pat him on the shoulder and goes, "So whenever you wanna let me know how we're gonna institute this," and just walk away and have Bradley Cooper gotten outplayed by this, magnate, this mogul,
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh shit, this drug didn't do enough for me to do, to get around this. I'm not God."
Yeah.
Get brought back down to earth. Cool. Instead, within seconds, I think like he has that semi speech and then walks back to his car. Then Bradley Cooper meets him at his car and goes, "So you say that. The thing is, I saw you coming. So I made a synthetic version of this that I have access to and I've been able to wean myself off of it. So now I still have the superpower, but none of the downside." And I'm just like, come on! Like, is there no ramification? This guy, like, the hardest thing this guy has to do is fight off mobsters at one point. Hard, but also, like, fucking cool. At one point, he drinks a guy's blood because it has this chemical in it, which superpowers him and allows him to beat the other ones. Metal as shit.
Yeah.
A bit of, like, a threshold to cross, but not, like, a true... He never has to sacrifice anything. He gets everything he wants, sacrifices nothing. Basically, I wouldn't be surprised if there are coke addicts who blame this movie, is what I'm trying to say. I think they're, because I mean, this is basically just hyper cocaine.
Super Coke.
It's super coke. Now in a fancy red bottle. Like, it's just, it teaches you no good lessons. It has no good takeaways. The character learns nothing. It's an air biscuit. It is so fucking bad. It is just the writer and or Bradley Cooper stroking it and like, yeah. And then I fucked a model. And I drank a Russian's blood, and this politician, he tries to stop me, but he can't, because I'm awesome. Oh! It's like, what is this? Fuck that movie. And then you make a 3-season show about it? Eat me.
Oh man, I was not expecting the vitriol out of that one. Holy shit. All right, our last bad one. Kane with the Crystal Skull.
Indeed.
You know, it's very appropriate that South Park made a skit about witnessing Indiana Jones being raped because of this movie. And not wanting to admit that they saw it and wanting to admit how terrible it was. But no, it's terrible. It's
Bro, this shit bad.
This shit bad. Like it. Problem A, it skews away from like the idea of religion or mythology being what provides power in this movie, because it leans into that there is supernatural, but it's like it's grounded in kind of some kind of mythos or some kind of ritual or practice or something.
Yep.
How about aliens?
How that?
How about no?
That do anything for you?
Yeah. Like, how about we don't? Problem A. Problem B. Okay. Where do I even fucking? There's so much stupid. There's so much stupid that I have trouble unpacking it. Like the whole where the feminazi looks into the skull and her head just starts to combust. Because apparently it's a conduit for information. Kind of the fact that the alien's body appears out of nothing when they place the skull on a plinth. The fact that there's still a working spaceship that is humongous. It's like the size of. It's like this. It's huge.
Bigly big.
It is outrageously large. It creates a fucking canyon when it takes off. So the fact that has just been chilling undisturbed for so long is mind-boggling. Like I get that it's set in the like 50s or 60s, so there's not tons of imaging technology, but still, like this seems too big to miss.
Yeah.
Um, the the one dude just snap regains sentience and like sanity again after being crazy the whole movie.
As you do.
Yeah, sure. Why not? That's the least offensive of all of this. Um, and and then I guess we'll go get married at the end. Fuck it. Why not?
Let's put a bow on this.
Yeah, let's your two interactions with Marion that we've seen are crazy traumatic romps. I guess shared trauma really brings people together. Like him not knowing he has a kid all this time, I guess. Also, Shia LaBeouf is in this movie. I don't know if that's a positive or negative.
It's something.
It's a thing. Um, like just it, why? It's so many avenues of just disappointment and sloppy writing, just all reconvening at the same time, and it's just. And again, it's one of those things where like maybe it could be interesting. What?
Maybe you could be interesting.
Yeah, like that's the best I can give it. Is maybe it could be interesting if it didn't spend so much time fixated on this weird fucking like uh, anti-Nazi plot, which like I get that is in Indiana Jones' standard villain is Nazis. Fine, fair. But like it gives no time to the actual thing. Like the skull belonging to an alien is like such a bizarre fucking drawback of the curtain moment.
Yeah.
It's just like what? Why?
Well, yeah.
Um,
We didn't need to go here, but
no.
I felt like we did.
Yeah, and like, but I mean, and the rest of it too. Like, so you get that you're kind of looking for it, and it's otherworldly and shit. But like in the other ones, you know what you're looking for. You're looking for the Ark of the Covenant. You're looking for the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it, I don't really want to talk about Temple of Doom. That one's just kind of weird. Um, that one's just Indiana Jones' torture porn. Um,
And this week, Indiana Jones does torture porn.
yeah. I don't even really remember why he ends up at that temple. I haven't seen it in a long time, to be fair, but like, it has what feels like the least coherent plot out of all of them by a country mile. The original three, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow this one is worse. So yeah, it's just make it make sense. Make it have reason. Make it have good motivation for why you're going there. Just yeah. Don't have it be nebulous, and then just be. Don't have it be stupid. Just don't be stupid. Stupid. I'm gonna take the Philip DeFranco thing. Just don't be stupid. Stupid. Ah. Yeah. South Park made the right sketch. Unfortunately, just absolutely slandered the good name of Indiana Jones.
Just took him.
Just took him behind the
took him in the backseat of the theater and gave it to him.
Yeah, just elbow deep in that affair. All right, let's go with the better options. Let's go with one.
Happy Town. Well,
kind of.
By Happy Town we mean
it ended on a good note.
It ended well.
Yes.
I don't even have good notes right.
Well, I mean, like on a good note for the tone of the show.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, if you're listen, Romeo and Juliet, people will argue as a good ending. It sure shit ain't happy.
Agreed.
West Side Story, same kind of deal. Anyway, moving on.
Love how you did the same story twice.
I know,
there.
just a modern adaptation.
So, on our good ending, first entry on the list is BoJack Horseman. For those of you that are familiar with us, you know that both of us really enjoyed the show while being, brought to tears at multiple times. Yep. It's fantastic. It does a really good job at showing trauma, at, kind of self-destruction, at depression. It did a really good job. Will Arnett did an amazing, fantastical representation along with everybody else in the cast.
Yep.
And while it ends
very
bittersweet, it is right.
Yep.
In our estimation, with the way the show ended.
It's the satisfying payoff that the show deserves. It's
But I think by being satisfying, it is unsatisfying. But I
yeah,
mean, that's kind of the whole point of the show.
yeah. I mean, it the most important relationship in the show is BoJack and Diane,
Yep.
and what's heartbreaking is it's so close to being functional, and then Diane realizes it can't be.
Yep. I think the best way to surmise what I mean is imagine you were hungry, you went out to a restaurant, and you said, "Hey, I'd like something to eat," and they said, "Got, I have exactly what you need." You're like, "Okay," and they brought you a dish that looked too small, and you ate it, and you're like, "I could still eat," and they're like, and the waiter was like, "Trust me, give it time," and then left and did not come back to your table. And eventually, it set in that no, this was exactly the amount that you needed to eat. So much of the ending of BoJack and so much of the show is it feels like a good representation comically of reality, and that we always don't get what we want, but often we get what we need, and that there are, and especially love this for the show, there are real life repercussions for your actions.
Yeah,
And this show did such a great job at displaying that in a way for so many people, myself especially included, of like, yeah, it costs to be an asshole. It costs to like not be a good friend. It costs when you make mistakes in your life. And to show that cost and to show the fact that the character's not okay with it. I think so many times and this isn't bad, but so many shows and movies will show a character getting their, just desserts and being like, you know what? That's okay by me. That's a great mindset. But the reality is most of the time it's like, this kind of sucks.
yeah,
And just living with it. And that's kind of where it awesomely ends. It's just like, this is what it is.
yep. It,
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a frustrating note to end on because
Yeah.
it is so appropriate. And the thing that is great about it in many ways is that it's appropriate because the characters have grown up.
Yeah.
Like Diane spends so much time in the show justifying and unapologetically being behind BoJack, and she finally realizes it's not good for her.
Yep.
And while she likes BoJack, her life is better when she is not around him
Mm-hmm.
because he will inevitably find some other way to make drama happen. He will find some other way to pull her in.
Yep.
She can't do it to herself again. And it's so rough, but like,
I mean, a kind of real life example to a much more minor extent was after now I've qualified for Amsterdam, I was on a team. It was with nice guys. They were kind of fun to hang around with, albeit goofy, and they are good players.
mm-hmm,
But it's not a good fit for me.
mm-hmm,
So I've had to I'm leaving it behind. I'm looking for a new team.
mm-hmm,
And I've got friends who are like, "Oh, we should test together." And I'm like, "I love this person as a friend, but they're not going to help me get better and help me prepare for this
mm-hmm.
tournament." And it's just like, I'm not going to say it to their face like that, but it is very much something that I'll be like, "Yeah, nah, I think I'm looking for this or that this time, but best of luck. I hope hope we do well in the tournament." But like,
Yeah,
it's something a friend said a while ago is like, you don't have to be good friends with your teammates. You just have to like get along well enough.
yeah,
It's like more to the point of like, he had friends that he was talking about. It's just like, I love this guy. I would never team with him. This is like, it's not going to be beneficial for me. And
yeah,
like, that's the whole point of being on a team is that it helps me.
yeah. Being on a team is purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Your turn to climb
I'm gonna
Happy
hit
Said
this to
Mountain.
something a bit more uplifting. Um, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, not Full Metal Alchemist. The original run that didn't wait for the fucking manga to finish. No, that ending was awful. It was wildly unsatisfying.
I didn't mind it as much as
I
other
did
people. I
not
I
like it.
think of I agree that this new version is better. I do think the other one is still like these. Okay.
Anyway,
Anyway,
it, wildly unsatisfying. Anyway, um, it also does some weird tonal shifts at the end that I really didn't like, which I think also colored my interpretation of it.
fair enough.
Like if you go back and rewatch it, I've got 3 episodes. Let's fucking turn over the table. Like okay, but Brotherhood leads to a tremendous climax, and as it has been teasing the massive ritual that's been set up, and teasing the undoing of it, and so it's
Yeah.
cool to watch everything play out, and then it's cool to watch where everyone ends up going.
Yeah.
Like, and so not just the Alphonse getting back his brother, because which that is the I love the kind of 1-2 punch of Alphonse gives up his body to get Edward back his arm so he can fight, because he's like, I'm broken, but I can get him back an arm.
Yep.
And then Alphonse goes, I give up the other biggest staple in my life. I'll give up alchemy. Give me back my brother.
Yeah.
And so like they basically get to cheat with God, who's like, give me something worthwhile, and he goes, no problem.
Yeah.
Which what a big dick move. Because it's like the nameless thing in the void goes, ha, nice. Like is even kind of impressed. Like because most
Yeah.
it's used to people being greedy and everyone asking for power undeservingly
Yeah.
and not being willing to actually be self-sacrificial. It's used to someone else being forced to pay the cost. And then you get to see everything else playing out. And I love the it does like a roll of photos where you get to see where everyone else ends up. And so you get to see Edward like traveling, or you get to see you get to see Edward traveling, and with May, you get to see the Emperor with his bodyguard actually on the throne. You get to see
Well, it's the Empress, right?
those Emperor.
I tripping? I thought. Wait, who am I thinking of? Who are? Which Emperor?
The the guys are like from the east.
I thought Greed dies.
Yeah, Greed is very dead.
Yeah, but
Greed gets extracted back out.
oh right, trippy. Forgot.
Yeah, his body survives, but Greed like voluntarily gives himself back over because he um father rips him out to like because he's like
Mhm.
I need the souls, and so Greed's like
Yeah.
fine, I'll turn you into graphite because it's super fragile. He just turns his body into the weakest form of carbon possible. Um, so you get to see a satisfying resolution. Like you get to see um, Mustang and the blonde chick whose name escapes me right now, the sniper.
Yeah. Uh. One second. Keep going.
Like you get to see them working together again. You just get a very satisfying, very earned payoff for people where they end up where they should be. It's
Yeah.
just it's
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. Thank you. I was thinking like Eagle Eye. And I'm like, it's not quite right. Um, it just has such a nice resolution. It is such a good climax, a good payoff. It is not without cost because
Yeah.
a lot of fucking dead people in the show actually. Um,
Yeah. The fucking ending does stack a body count.
it absolutely does, and a lot of those deaths are heavy too. It's like,
Yeah.
I
It's definitely
oh.
not a happy, feel good ending. It's a great ending that gives you solace after so
Yeah,
much pain,
it
I feel
it
like.
doesn't feel like it cheats you. It
Oh, no.
doesn't feel unearned, and it is
Mm,
very satisfying.
yeah.
Like
It's a great way to do a happy ending in anime is have costs be paid, have a strong resolution, and have a as happy as you can get with as much turmoil as transpired while taking it
yeah,
seriously ending.
yes, exactly, and it yeah, I it does everything really well, puts a very great bow on it, and it's just I think it's one of the reasons it's like one of the highest rated anime of all time. I think that's a large contributor to it.
Yep.
It just ends so well.
Yep.
Next up.
So next up, we have a little bit of a breakout in Fleabag. Fleabag is one of my favorite shows. It's one of the smallest shows you'll ever watch. It's 2 6-episode seasons that are like 20, 30 minutes a piece. They're really short. It's fucking amazing. Oh, what's her name? Did it? Phoebe Waller-Bridge created the show from. Initially, it came from a like one person monologue play that she did in the West End. Got picked up. She made a show out of it. Did 1 season. She goes, "Okay, I'm done." They offered her a lot of money. She's like, "Nah." And then she had an idea for a second season. Took him up on the offer. Gladly did it. It exploded. And they're like, "Oh, let's do more, do more." And she's like, "Nah, I'm good for now." Which is fucking like the amount of money they were offering her is crazy. So like the fact that she ended it just her ultimate artist cred. But the way the show ends for now is that she in season 1 she's dealing with uh relationship issues, not only with like sexual partners but also her family.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't resolve well, which is perfect for the character in the show. Season 2, she's actually getting a lot better. She ends up meeting a person that she's in love with and is a good guy. And he's a priest, which is awesome. And the priest is played amazingly by Andrew Scott, who, if you've ever watched Sherlock, is Moriarty, and he fucking chews up. Yeah, he just chews up the celluloid again. It's fucking bananas good. He's so awesome. I love everything that man does. And in the end of the show, and this is something I really want our dad to watch this, by the way, and for this reason, at the end of the show, the priest is giving a wedding to Fleabag's dad and their godmother, who sucks and is played perfectly by Olivia Colman, who fucking knocks it out of the park. She is just such a cunt. It's fucking awesome. It's like it's spellbinding how good she is at like doing that kind of like it's almost like Southerners give you like a like if they were to call you out on something, they're like, "Oh, bless your heart."
Yeah.
It's just like, "Oh, that is condemnation veiled in sugar." It's the same thing with Olivia Colman's character. One point, she's like, "You really should look after yourself, darling. You're looking ghastly," and she just kind of gives her this little look up and down, and then this smile of like, "I'm praying for you," before walking away, and you're like, "Oh." Oh, just call me a twat to my face. Like, goddamn. It's so fucking
savage.
It's so savage, but it like works in a public forum. It's not something like it's not this diatribe that people are like, whoa, 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 like call her out for. Like the way subtle. It's so subtle but so deep. I'm like, oh. So the episode ends with her getting married to their dad, and their dad has a really good line of like, "Look, I just want to be happy and I kind of like her. Can you be okay with that?" And they're like, "Yeah, I get," because like her and her sister do not like their godmother who they're marrying. But their dad makes a really good point of like, "I like her and I want to have fun. And it's my life." It's like, damn, man, that's
a valid point.
You make valid points, so they let him get married. She shows herself to be a bit of a dumb bitch, which is great. She's a moment where she's going around introducing their dad to her friends, and they're all tokens. They're like, "Oh, this man's deaf, this man's gay, this person's that." It's just like, oh, you like them for this aspect of they are because they like that gives you clout. It just like shows her feathers to everybody but the dad who doesn't care. And then she gets to the dad who she's marrying to introduce to her friends, and she doesn't know his name. It's fucking great showcasing. Olivia Colman kills it. At the wedding, they are being married by the priest that Phoebe Waller-Bridge has been fawning over and having some amount of relationship with. And Andrew Scott gets up as the priest, and he's just like, marriage, or like love sucks, and then goes on this diatribe that is both beautiful for the wedding and is a veiled message for Fleabag about what has been going on between them. And he goes out and sits with her at a bus stop and goes, I like you and I want to be with you, but I love God. And I don't, that is more important to me. And so he makes the hard decision against his lust and his beating heart for his mind and his soul. Which, regardless of whether you buy into Christian or any religion, the showcasing of that to me, especially as someone who grew up in the church, is such a beautiful thing, regardless.
Yeah.
To like see somebody's logic
An
play
actual
out and be
conviction.
said in such an earnest way. Like, the character's also a huge nerd for Jesus, which is fucking funny. I think it's like the second or third episode, he's wearing one of those kind of like fancy like robes. Vestments. Thank you. He's wearing this fancy vestment that he's like about, and he like shows it off like it's like a kid with new sneakers. He's like, dude,
awesome.
This is so cool. It's got tassels. It's gold. It's purple. Ah! And he's like jazzed. And like seeing that love for the craft and not being like, oh yes, like he's just such a great, well-rounded character that's human, believable, but also still has to make a really hard choice. And Fleabag has to sit with it and understand that this person who she really liked and likes her back, it's not going to happen because of other things in life that neither of them really had control over, but are still pertinent. And it's fucking amazing. And it's also funny as shit. And you do get a little bit of catharsis in this sad town because her sister, played by Sian Clifford, breaks up with the amazing American actor Brett Gelman, who is an asshole in this show, that you are so thankful that he gets his comeuppance. He is a douche. And he plays it amazing. Brett Gelman's fucking awesome. For those of you that have watched Stranger Things, he's like the weird writer for like the reporter guy that they go see
he's
in
the
like
investigative journalist. Yeah.
Investigative journalist. He's that guy. That's Brett Gelman.
Gotcha.
Which is really funny because in that show he's an optimistic, very hopes for the future, is willing to do dastardly and daring things for journalism, and in this one he's just a fucking lush asshole. So bad.
All right. I'm gonna,
in
many ways, do a bit of a rehash of my first entry. The more I think about it,
that's interesting.
I mean, there's a lot of commonalities here.
Yeah.
So it's not a show if I can't talk about Avatar. So here we are, we're talking about it.
It's in his contract, folks.
It's required. I'm contractually obligated. Avatar: The Last Airbender has a dope ending. It spends 3 seasons building to absolutely fantastic conflict in Aang versus Ozai. Thank you. Sozin was way too early. And boy, howdy, does it pay off. I can still watch that fight and I still get chills because it's so well made. And you built for 2 seasons in Azula versus Zuko. Again, still amazing. Still get chills. And everything else that's going on in the periphery. It's such an awesome climax. And you could maybe argue the energy bending feels a little bit out of left field, but sure.
Also, Avatar. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the lion turtle is a bit of a rug pull, but whatever. They do kind of tease it way early, but like the library. But the end is so nice, like the very end of it, where that Zuko gets his place where he should be for the right reason. And he's finally mature enough to actually accept the role. Iroh gets what he wants in that he no longer wants to be in the spotlight. He has done his job. He has served his tour. He has done what is best for his country. He wants a quiet life. He gets his tea shop.
Hell yeah.
Like, I mean, the assumption
He gets his hot leaf
it gets
juice.
I can't believe a nephew, a member of my own family, sees something so horrible.
But also, more importantly for him, he gets to see his nephew
Yeah,
grow and rise and, become the man that he's always kind of been
he's
trying to
been
edge him
willing him
towards.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Aang gets to effectively redeem himself for not being there to interrupt the war earlier.
Yep.
Not that he necessarily could have. It's neither here nor there. Katara and Sokka get to. Their village is no longer under concern. They're no longer going to be Fire Nation raids. Their dad is freed from prison. Like it is what people have wanted and what they've been working for the whole time.
Yep.
And again, it's one of those things. It feels earned. You have watched them struggle repeatedly. You have watched them fight repeatedly to get here. Like it's just it is a very satisfying earned resolution that you're finally given off the back of a terrific climax that they had been building for the whole time. Like it's one of those things you knew it was coming.
It's not a show as much as it is a super miniseries.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is one contiguous story. It is not episodic. Like it is. It does little self-contained like side plots, but the show has one plot. It is Aang becomes the Avatar to stop Ozai. That is the core plot of the show, and you finally get to see it resolve.
And boy howdy,
does it pay out. So yeah, it's again in many ways like Fullmetal Alchemist. And part of the reason I love both is it is a long drawn build where you know it's coming. Oh boy, is she coming, and it delivers, and it ends in a satisfying manner for those still standing. No notes.
In summation, the epic is epic.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what's your last good ending?
My last entry is yet another epic that leaves you sad, happy, or just satisfied in his own way.
I think satisfied is probably best.
Yeah, Breaking Bad again. Like a lot of our entries on here, it is a story that was created with the ending in mind. They had the plot points, the major beats written out from the get-go and just filled in the blanks from there. It ends perfectly. Our main character dies in the way that just seems fitting. It's not, prophesied any particular way, but it feels right. We get the catharsis in, Jesse Pinkman getting freed, and the bad guys getting theirs in a cool way. We get what's her twat fucking wrecked by her dumbass stevia. We get like
have some ricin, bitch.
Yeah. It wraps up nicely with a bloody bow.
Yeah.
And just all the plot points are taken care of, everything that needed to be happening. And again, it's just like, and this is kind of, this is antithetical or, the opposite of Limitless in that this has all been building and he needs to pay the cost. The bill has to eventually be paid.
Yeah.
And Walter White does. Gladly not be the right term, but righteously is, I feel like he finally dons the mantle that he needs to wear, sees it, and does the right thing. And does it fucking well because Walter White don't fuck around. And it's awesome. Fucking machine gun in the trunk. The fucking just all the little bits here and there.
Yeah.
Fucking bangers. The meeting up with his old college mates and just being like, you're gonna need a bigger knife.
Elliot, if it comes to that, you're gonna need a bigger knife. Just so casually, like, this is not your fucking area of expertise, Elliot. Put that shit down. Like,
yeah. It's exactly what it should have been, and it sadly should have been left there in regards to fucking El Camino. It's so much better not knowing what Jesse does afterwards, in my estimation.
Yeah.
But
also, never mind that movie was 40% flashback.
40% flashback and some years later. So either which way,
it's too much.
Gilligan, I hope you were
paid
well.
If you start using more than 10% as flashback material, you need to reevaluate your scripts.
Are we sure we're making a
Are you catering to goldfish?
Yeah.
Can they not remember
Are you catering to Goldfish? It's great. Either way, Breaking Bad is my last entry on this list. It just, again, like BoJack Horseman, it's not. It's cathartic. It doesn't feel good, but it's right.
Yeah,
It is
it,
the dinner that you should be eating,
and it's
and the way it should go.
yeah, it really is. Walter's White morality wins out over his ego for once,
Yeah.
and like I think I think it's best exemplified when he sees Skylar the last time.
Yeah.
Is if she says, if you say you do this, I did it for me.
Yeah. If you say you did it for the family, I'm gonna fucking call the cops or whatever. It's like, nah.
Yeah, and he just there's it's the first time he is perfectly honest. They just I did it for me.
Mhm.
It's like you've waited basically 4 seasons to hear him
Yeah.
admit that, and he finally does. All right, my last entry is we're gonna end on a bittersweet.
Close it out with a bang.
No,
Ah,
no,
ah.
no, no, that's illegal. Oh, I felt that in my soul. Anyway, my last entry is going to be Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is a terrific show. Um, I will never watch the aberration that Netflix made as a live action version because it should never have been made.
No.
Some things are good.
Blackmail.
Huh. Huh. Anyway, Cowboy Bebop, for being a show made fucking 30 years ago, or
Damn.
or 24 years ago at this point.
I think you meant 2000 exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, because I saw it like it was 20 years old. I'm like, wow, really? It still holds up. The art is still
Does.
so good. The music is
Busted.
still so good. The show is still so good.
Perfect.
God bless it. And it does a terrific job being an episodic thing. Although it does, I mean, the main story is Spike's past.
Yep.
And his conflict with Vicious and the old criminal syndicate he used to be part of.
Sir, do you mean vicious?
Vicious. Yeah. I gotta give us more oomph. So it is only fitting that the end is him against Vicious. It is only fitting that he feels he has to go into the church, that he has to fight. Because it's how it used to be done. And so that's how he's going to do it. Or church, because like building. And he knows he's probably going to die.
Yeah.
He knows it. Jet knows it. Jet tries to talk him out of it.
For about 8 seconds.
Yeah, he sees it on his face. He just knows that he won't move him. Yep. Spike made up his mind. He is done trying to run and trying to dance around this issue. And he watched Julia die.
Yeah, the thing he was searching for this whole entire time is no longer.
He has no reason to avoid this conflict. He has no reason to keep himself here. It has been stalled out because he's been hoping to find Julia again. Yep. Julia's gone. Gloves come off. And it's just kind of heartbreaking. And it's terrific all at the same time. Like, and everyone, Spike leaves and he's not coming back.
Yep.
And yeah, as Isaac, saboteur, it ends with people walking in, and Vicious is dead, and he's just holding his guts as basically bleeding out, and just points his finger. People coming out of an elevator. Bang. And that's where it ends. Just him dying on a floor.
Yep. The hitman dies, no one cries, the space goes on forever.
Yep. See you, Space Cowboy.
Yeah. It's such like a melancholy anime variant of like some like Ford Western, like The Searchers of this. It's not, it's all of this like melancholy vibe of death, despair, and drugs. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
It's very rhapsodic. It's very. It's it's something that I think does a great job of showing cool while being uncool, and also, kind of giving a little bit of light to that without like being like a dare campaign.
Yeah.
This life isn't glamorous, but it is artistically beautiful. You know,
Yeah. It also just does the thing where like you're you cannot ignore your past forever.
yeah,
Like and it and it's like Jet makes the decision to walk away from his past.
yeah,
Like he leaves, I forget the woman's name, but he leaves her to her life. He, you know, he has to deal with the old partner who double crossed him. And then once that's done, he leaves it alone. Like he doesn't try to go pursue anything more than he has to. He
mhm,
wants to be left well enough alone. And Spike just can't let it go. He's got the option. He chooses not to. And it makes
yeah,
perfect sense for Spike. Spike doesn't Spike doesn't run from like a fight ever in the show. Like more
yeah.
often than not, he just runs at them because he's pretty sure he can win, and he does pretty much all the time. The dude's an animal. Like, um, yeah, it's one of those things where it even though you know it's coming, it's exactly what it should be.
And with that lovely wrap up, we're gonna send it to our ad break. But don't go away for too long. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wanted to feel some mainstream appeal as a nerd? Have you wanted to indulge in a little bit of power fantasy? Do you love when the good guy wins in the end and most things wrap up with a nice little bow on top? Might I interest you in some comic book movies? With them tasty comic book movies, you get the first grade moral lessons with explosions and punches, punctuation to emphasize. Add in some clear expectations of who's your villain versus who is our hero, and you found yourself a winning formula that will undoubtedly appeal to the masses. So what are you waiting for? Go embark on that hero's journey to get the MacGuffin. It's coming to a theater near you this summer.
Hello
And welcome back.
to Super Pros Bros.
No, anyway, what have you been partaking in, Isaac, that you'd recommend to people?
So I was flying back from Seattle, and they had a movie that I'd kind of been like interested in
Mm-hmm.
called American Fiction.
Yep.
American Fiction is about an African American uh, professor at a university who's also a novelist and is kind of going through some stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially the way African Americans are being represented in fiction and like current society.
Sure.
And it's something that is a bit foreign to me. I've taken some classes on issues as such, but haven't lived that reality. So I am not one to say how authentic it is or how
Sure.
that population feels about it. But I do respect the way it looks at it. It doesn't seem to only play one side of it where it comes at it as if the character is definitely correct or definitely wrong. I think it does a good job of showcasing characters. I think my only issue with it is it kind of it does a lot and it does a bit of it quickly. There this might be the intention of the director, is for it to kind of like scoot along, but it felt like they could have cut one storyline to give a little bit more breadth to the others.
Mm-hmm.
Is my only complaint with it. It is good. It's very well acted. That's this great bit where it is like one of the trailers where they are they've had a death in the family. They are putting the dumping the ashes or scattering the ashes at a beach.
Yeah.
And they say this the the way they're talking about this, like hopefully like it's a female member of the family, and on uh their will and testament or whatever, like their send off message, it's like, hopefully I died under the passionate throes of Idris Elba. But if not that, hopefully it was a very well toned Russell Crowe, "Forgive Me, Mother." You know, like that kind of thing. It's like fucking hilarious. But it's
Outstanding.
being told through tears because loved one has died,
Yeah.
and so they're scattering the ashes. This neighbor comes by and goes, "You scattering the ashes here? Do you guys have a permit for that?" his brother's behind him. He's like, "Fuck you, Philip. Get the fuck out of here. This is a family matter." He goes, "You have a permit for that?" He's like, "Well, I have a permit when I stick my foot up your ass." And like chases him off screen. And the main character who's just finished spreading the ashes of a loved one's like, "Fucking Philip, you douche." Fucking great. It's a lot of great comedy, a lot of good writing, and very well crafted. So would recommend. I give it a solid like 7.
Right.
It was quite good. It was very, very funny. Also, the intro is he's teaching a class, and it has the N-word written out in full on the board
Sure.
as he's African man teaching. And this white student is like, I don't feel comfortable with that word on the board. And he's like, "Hey, we're all adults. I understand." And she goes, "No, I don't like it." He goes, "Oh, I think it's spelled correctly." She's like, "No, I don't think we should have to read it." He goes, "Look, Tiffany, I got over it, and I'm sure you can too." And then goes to like move on, and she's like, "But why should I have to?" And then it cuts to outside the classroom, and Tiffany's like leaving in tears. He goes, "All right, did anybody else have thoughts on the reading?" It's like that's where we start. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is fucking great."
Sometimes you should just leave well enough alone.
But yeah, great movie. I think it's a really good one for a white audience to see because in my estimation and hope, it shows a fair amount of different vantage points from an African American community about something that we interact with, being portrayal of African American characters, whether in fiction or in like biopics or whatever like that. So it was pretty eye opening for me in that regard, and just definitely makes you think, which I really appreciate. It doesn't give a strong definitive answer one way or another. It just gives a bunch of differing opinions from different characters. It's like, huh, yeah, all right. Anyway, what have your eyes been gambling?
I have watched I don't know if there's going to be a second season of Scavenger's Reign. Kind of hope there is. I'd be okay if there wasn't.
It ends in a very
It leaves some breadcrumbs it can take. I am not going to spoil stuff about the show. It's awesome, provided you like wacky sci-fi. Because I feel like this show was written by a bunch of zoologists who did mescaline. It has, if you think you know how shit functions, you do not. I assure you, you don't. What it does better than any show I think I might have ever seen is it embraces the idea of show, not tell. It shows you how things function. It like never stops to explain it. It's just like
figure it out, assholes.
Yeah, it's like roll with it, bitch. And it does a really good job. Like you're never like, there's occasionally where I'm like, but why don't we do that? And it's like, it's infrequent enough. It doesn't really matter, and it's so wacky. It's so weird. It's so cool. And it's what's interesting, and I wasn't expecting, is it's mostly a character-driven drama about like there's effectively 3 sets of survivors on the planet trying to get back to the ship. And man, I was a little worried when I saw the trailer. I'm like, man, they've teased so many things that no, you don't know. Everything they show is like done by episode 2 or 3, I think. And it's like there's 12 episodes. Now we got 9 to introduce wacky new shit. Like, it's really good. The art's really cool.
Yeah, it's like kind of like somewhere between like it's almost like watercolor cell shading.
Yeah, it does a really interesting job with how different characters kind of function and how they react to the environment around them. Yeah, I want to talk more about it, but I do not want to spoil shit. I think the show is just great. If you're into weird sci-fi and into wacky like flora and fauna and very alien animals, in a sense, this is the show you want.
Hell yeah.
It's really well written. It doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. It absolutely embraces the idea of throw rocks at your characters, because there's always some new problem that they deal
And
with.
also, best part for me, scoreboard. I recommended this to you.
You did.
Bitch!
Absolutely. Yeah, I ended up watching it, watched the back half of it like Friday. Actually, I watched it with my friend. It was awesome. So yeah, there's also I will give one caveat to it. There are some serious body horror issues that go into this show. If that is not for you, do not watch it. There are some scenes you will be violently uncomfortable with. Like there are some scenes where we were like, "Oh my god!" Like I am not okay with that shit. I need a drink. Oh dear Jesus. Yeah. So again, if you think you know what's gonna happen, you don't. Um, yeah. There's a couple things at the end that I'm very perplexed about, and I kind of hope it gets a second season. I'm a little worried about it getting a second season because I don't want it to ruin a good thing,
Yeah.
but there is room for it.
Sweet.
So yeah, I but highly recommend, at least for now. Give it a whirl. It's 12 episodes, like 25 minutes. It's great.
Oh wow, that's really short.
It's
Yeah.
quite short. It does a lot in the time it's given.
Yeah.
But it's a very straightforward plot. It also does one clever thing I want to point out and actually note. Its title card, so like its little intro song, is basically a bunch of not quite still frames, but it shows like the ship, the accident, and why they had to abandon it. So like it gives you a quick kind of 20-second highlight reel of this is why we're on this planet. So it sets some quick context for you. I thought it was just a really clever thing to do because later they go much more into why they're here, who fucked up, what happened, right? But initially, you do not have that information. So it gives you the fucking spark notes as their opener songs. I thought it was a really clever way to do that, to provide context for people. So anyway, I will quit gushing.
Well, lastly, before we get to our quip off this week, I would highly recommend a title that I'm realizing my co-partner will probably find very funny, which is "Oh You Fancy" by Blockhead.
I knew how you were gonna read it too.
So Blockhead is an instrumental band. They are fucking amazing. A lot of guitar and kind of synth stuff. It's really fun. This one has like a really good kind of backbone to it that you can just kind of like just like nod your head with. Highly recommend. It's a banger. And that's "Oh You Fancy" by Blockhead. Just have fun reiterating. All right, so what we quipping off to this week, Broskinkowski?
The classic for Ron Burgundy, Anchorman. The first one, not the second one.
All right, so I'm setting a timer for 2 minutes on my phone. Hopefully it'll go off when it's done. All right, who's starting off?
I think I started the last one, so you can start.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. This is worse than the time the raccoon got in the copier.
Why don't you go back to your home on Whore Island?
You look like a blueberry.
Well, I think your hair stinks.
It's the pleats in the pants.
Back to work, everybody. Quit acting like you're not impressed.
And yes, I did name my testicles. Left one is Dr. Kenneth Noisewater. And the right one is, I forget who it is.
Sorry about that whammy.
Like, I call it the octagon.
Brick, where'd you get that hand grenade?
I killed a man with a trident. Or no, Brick killed a man with a trident.
I love lamp.
I have many leather-bound books.
News team, assemble!
I'm stuck in a case of my emotions.
And I'm Tits. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
You poop mouth.
Santiago means a whale's vagina.
You will eat cat poop.
Damn it, who put a question mark on the prompter?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Brick. That smells like pure gasoline.
60% of the time, it works every time.
It smells like a used diaper filled with Indian food.
And that is just proof that that is one of the most quotable movies of all time, because I think there's like 5 more minutes of quotes.
There's just a bunch of weird fucking one-liners that work so well just off the cuff.
I'll take your mother out to a nice seafood dinner
and
never call her again.
You ate the
All
whole
right,
wheel
well,
of cheese? Pooped in the refrigerator.
I'm mad.
Got brown.
Impressed. Well, before we end up too much on this tangent, that is our episode. So thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this, please feel free to
Like,
comment,
share,
and subscribe.
But don't forget, new episodes of Super Pros Bros come out the first and third Saturday of every month.
Bye.